welcome to the Canis Major welcome to the Canis Major Deal blog. I'm Phil Grove, and Canis Major is a commercial real estate investing platform. Each week we have a deal blog. Well, I'll tell you what, I screwed that up about as much as I possibly could.
Right.
Welcome everybody to the Canis Major Deal blog. I'm Phil Grove, and we'll be hosting this presentation for this week's entry. Canis Major has a network of acquisition specialists across the state of Texas, and each week we're evaluating commercial investing property opportunities all over the place. We have a network of acquisition specialists, and each week we choose one of the deals that we're evaluating for investing opportunities to do a case study for. So this week's case study is going to be presented by Greg Devereux out of Houston. And Greg, are you on the line?
I am ready to go.
All right, Greg, I'm going to turn it over to you and tell us about the deal of the week.
All right, thanks, Phil. We're going to talk this week about a case study for warehouse storefront. And before we begin that, let me tell you just a little bit about myself. So my name is Greg Devereux, as Phil said. I'm a chemical engineer by trade and a real estate investor since 2002. When my wife Stephanie and I lived in a 6-unit apartment complex, and we did okay on the but made a few mistakes. Fortunately, still made some money while we were learning. That made me know that I needed to find a mentor, so we started working in a number of years later when we got back into real estate with Phil Grove as of December of 2016. And then in 2017, in June, we got a chance to join the Canis Major commercial multifamily group and became an acquisition specialist. The deal that I want to talk about this week is a foreclosure lead we got opportunity. It's a commercial warehouse and showroom, a single tenant building that's owner occupied by the guy that owns the business. It's on the screen here that you can see. We went and looked at it. It's in Southeast Houston on a major freeway right on the frontage road. Down in Southeast Houston, just outside the 610 loop, if anybody knows the area. We then started doing the due diligence, and I took a drive over to the property. The things that I kind of liked about it was on the front of a major freeway, so it had good traffic coming into it. The exterior of the building was in good shape. Nothing a good coat of paint and a little bit of metal work can fix and make a really nice building. The business was closed at the time, although there's plenty of windows in front, so you can take a look in, and the interior looked like it was also in good shape. So no major repairs that we could see from just looking. The things that didn't look so good for the property, this parking was limited. It has 11 parking spaces and really no way to expand. In the back, the unloading area is also limited. Could get a panel truck in, but no semi. In front and back of the property are roads. The semi, if you did bring it in, would have to sit on a fairly major residential road and then unload the semi into the building. This thing is also landlocked on both sides by other businesses, and so there's really no way to expand either the loading or the parking situation. And one of the businesses on the right side actually has recently installed a perimeter fence around its entire parking lot with razor wire on the top, and that leads me to wonder about safety in the area or maybe even theft.
It is interesting, Greg, that when your neighbor puts razor wire around their property, they think it's helping them, but it's actually putting up a red flag that this may be a high crime neighborhood, and makes people question what the safety of the whole area.
It definitely did me.
Yeah.
So then we took on and went and looked at the competition that we might have. If we were to purchase this property, we'd have to find a renter. Obviously, the business that is in it isn't maintenance. We would be looking for a new tenant. There were actually a couple, 2-3 other warehouse-style buildings in the area that were advertised for lease on the front. This building, Jack's Carpet Building, is actually more appealing. It's a better looking building, but the others actually have much better situation with parking and unloading. There's a number of new strip centers in the area as well, probably built in the last maybe 2-3 years, and each of them remains somewhere occupancy down around 50 to 70%. So anybody looking to come into this area to lease our building would have plenty of options to choose from if they were going to come in here. The area is also in transition. Maybe 10% of the buildings in the area were actually built in the last couple of years. 90% of them are still the old stuff, probably from the 70s time frame, and haven't been updated and really just run down. They're dirty, and a little bit of TLC would go a long way with them. Then take a look at the customers. Who are these people going to sell to? Their products, they got to sell to somebody. The back of this area has a lot of 1970s vintage apartments that have been updated. They're pretty well run down. One brand new Class A property, high-end apartment complex, right behind this, maybe a quarter mile away at most, with plenty of security fencing. The single-family homes in the surrounding neighborhood range anywhere from about 50,000 to 200,000. Many of them have bars on the windows, so again, we're back to the crime might be a problem in the area. And I did find one business for sale, probably double the land that this property is on. It's about a quarter mile away, and they were offering this thing for sale for $850,000. So reception hall, pretty good building. That kind of gives you an idea of what the property might sell for in the future, or in the near future. So when we got to the end of this, the conclusion we came to was that we would probably pass on this deal. Most of the reason you're going to need to find a tenant that has this specific building as a need, and it doesn't present a lot of opportunities with limited parking and limited unloading facilities. The single tenant in the building means that any vacancies require cash to keep the property afloat while you're looking for a new tenant, and price might end up being just way too high for where you might be able to get other equally attractive property. So in the end, we really came to the conclusion that this was probably a pass on this deal.
Well, thank you, Greg, for that review. And I briefly saw at the beginning of this, how much was the loan on this property? You said it was over $2 million?
Yeah, it was 2.625. I think it's about 5 to 7 years ago.
Okay, so
And
I had a lot of debt on this thing.
He's also got a $750,000 line of credit that's owed. So
the acquisition cost on this would have been $3 million, correct? Or you never really got that far, but it would have been somewhere in that ballpark.
Yeah, it would have been. I mean, in foreclosure, the loan you might have been able to get. He's paid on it for 5 years, so maybe it's down a little bit, but yeah, it's probably at least 2.5.
Okay, and when you saw another property with twice the land for $825, you're pretty far off. Is that it?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Was there any other consideration that you had for this? A single tenant, that's interesting. There's risk when they're in a single tenant versus a strip mall. Any other considerations? We never got so far as to actually interact with the homeowner, the business owner, correct?
Business. No, we didn't actually. I was actually hoping to the day that I visited, but he had changed his hours of operation about 2 hours earlier and was leaving at 5 o'clock instead of his normal 7. And I got here just a little bit late to be able to actually go inside and be a real estate investor and look at flooring.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for this case study of the week. Really appreciate it. And guys, we'll have another case study next week. So thank you again.